Yo, what's good, guys? I've got an Ubers match for you guys here today, and as you guys can see, this is a very, very, very long Ubers match. Oh my god, I think it's almost 60 turns to be totally honest. So, it's a battle I took off my stream a couple days ago. It's against a guy named by the name of DarkBlitz720. He's just got like some standard rain going on. Arceus is more than likely going to be Arceus Ghost, but then if you look at his team, he has no electric resist, so maybe it's not. If it's not, that's definitely good for me, just because Excadrill will be able to spin his hazards freely. But the one big threat I'm noticing is definitely the Kingdra, because if that is the mixed Kingdra set, that thing can completely tear through my walling core, especially if the rain is here to stay. Speaking of team, actually, real quick, this is my Hippowdon team. I have been working on it pretty tediously, I guess, for the last month or two. I don't know how long I've had this team, but basically, I wanted to make a Ubers team around Hippowdon. This is the final result. I have a walling core of Chansey and Hippowdon, and they work wonderfully together because basically whatever Hippowdon doesn't want to take, Chansey can take, and whatever Chansey doesn't want to take, Hippowdon can take. You throw in Wish support in there, you throw in my custom bulky Ho-Oh spread, and you basically got a defensive core that does not die very easily. So let's talk about the match now. So I'm going to lead out with my Palkia as he's going to lead out with his Lugia. I was actually anticipating the Kyogre lead because I do have my Hippowdon in the lead slot. So that is that. As I am going to go out into my Arceus Dark. I know it's a little early to start revealing Arceus types, but honestly, Lugia cannot really touch Arceus Dark because I am the Stall Breaker set, which means I do have Refresh, and I can just start Calm Minding freely and whatnot. But he ends up going for the Whirlwind as he Whirlwinds me out into my Excadrill. I know generally Lugia cannot touch Excadrill at all, so I'm just going to go for the safe Rock Slide, even though I was pretty sure he was going to switch out just in case he wanted to stay and like try something funny by chance, like Whirlwind or something like that. I'm just going to go for the safe Rock Slide because I can at least break that thing's multi-scale. So I'm going to switch out here. I'm going to go out into my Palkia. I want to find out what kind of Kyogre this is, because if this is a Specs Kyogre, it's actually going to be a problem, because Chansey cannot take 2 Water Spouts under the rain. My Chansey actually gets 2-hit KO'd, which I know you guys are probably thinking, whoa, something can 2-hit KO with Chansey. That's with a special move. Yeah, I know, it is actually pretty crazy, but he actually goes for the Scald there, showing me he's a Kroger of some kind. Whether he has Calm Mind or Rest, I don't know, and we won't find out till later. So I got my Palkia in here. I don't need to make crazy over predictions because this is a Habanberry Palkia. I'm just going to drop a safe Thunder as he goes out into his Fortress. From that damage, he's clearly especially defensive because he took that Thunder a little too well, so I know I can stay in here and go for Fire Blast, easily take him out, but I don't want to reveal just yet that I am Habanberry. I kind of want him to think that I'm Scarf, so I am going to go out in my Ho-Oh here. I'm thinking this might be his potential Stealth Rocker just because looking at his team outside of Terrakion and possibly Arceus, he didn't seem to have another viable Stealth Rocker, so that's why I went to Ho-Oh because I was like in before Rocks, but he does just end up getting up a layer of Spikes. It's going to kind of prove to be tedious over the next few turns, as you'll see. As knowing he's going to switch out, I am just going to go straight for the substitute as he does end up bringing in the Lugia. Now, I'm going to go for Sacred Fire here just for the sole purpose of getting a burn, and I don't know about you guys, but I like never get burns with Sacred Fire. It says it's 50%. No, that's a lie. I think honestly this is probably like my first Sacred Fire burn ever on Wi-Fi. Just I have crappy luck with that move. But anyways, thankfully I do end up getting the burn as he does go for the Whirlwind. He Whirlwinds me out into my Chansey. I'm not complaining at all because I can just stay in here and take this Lugia on all day. If he wants to go for Toxic, I have Natural Cure, so I don't have to worry about that. I also have Wish and Soft Boiled, so I'm just ready to stall basically. So I'm going to go for the Wish here. I wanted to find out what his initial switch into this Chansey is, as it is going to be his Fortress here. He's more than likely just going to want to get up hazards. So knowing this, I'm actually going to go out into my Arceus Dark because I figure if he wants to go for Toxic or something, Arceus Dark wouldn't mind that. This Fortress is basically setup bait for Arceus Dark, so I figure I might as well get that going. But he does end up making a pretty good play here. He is going to go for the Vault Switch, that way he gets Switch Initial off of what I want to bring in, as he does end up bringing in the Terrakion. And I'm a little worried about this Terrakion just because, you know, Terrakion does have Close Combat and Stone Edge, which could definitely start breaking through my Walling Core, but I do have Hippowdon here, and I'm just going to switch in Hippowdon. I'm pretty sure he's just going to go right for the CC. I won't have to worry much about that. Not only that, but if he also wants to go for Close Combat later, I can also bring in my Ho-Oh, because like I said before, I am a defensive Ho-Oh spread, so I really won't have to worry about how much damage Close Combat will do, especially combined with Regenerator and the fact that I have Recover. I should be able to recover off that damage with Ho-Oh as well, but he just goes for Close Combat on my Hippo. I'm getting kind of low, not only that, but I want to see what his initial switch into my Hippowdon is, whether it's going to be maybe something like his Kingdra or his Kyogre. But he shows me right here, he brings in his Arceus Grass, which is actually better for me because like I said before at the beginning, if that was not an Arceus Ghost, I can just freely spin whenever I want to. So I know the pressure of me going for a spin, it's not as greatly there as it should be. I don't even know if that was proper English, but that's what we're going with. So I am going to go out into my Ho-Oh here because I know Arceus Grass cannot touch Ho-Oh whatsoever, but he makes a good switch here. He's going to go out into his Terrakion, as once again, I have no reason not to switch in my Hippowdon here because, as you can see, it can easily take close combats if he wants to predict this and go for it. But he doesn't. He's just going to make the safe play and go right for the Stone Edge. As you can see, that does not do jack diddly because I am a defensive Hippowdon. And that is more than likely a Scarf Terrakion, and Scarf Terrakion does not pack the punch that a Choice Banded Terrakion does. So he's not going to go out into his Fortress because I figured he brought in his Arceus Grass first. I figured he'd do that again, or he'd bring in his Kyogre, one of the two. But he ends up bringing in the Fortress. I'm not entirely sure as to why. Maybe to get up more hazards, maybe to possibly go for a spin, which I don't know if you guys have noticed by now, but this team does not have a spin blocker. But what I trade off in losing my rocks for a Rapid Spin, I can bring in a Pokemon and set up. And this is a prime example. If he spun my rocks, I would get an Excadrill. I just go for SDs and whatnot. But he ends up going for the Volt Switch. I just figured I could bring in Excadrill because, again, I can threaten with a Rapid Spin. And not only that, but in case he wanted to do what he's going to do here and bring in his Kyogre, I can go for EQ. I am an Adamant Max Attack. Excadrill, this is kind of a weird custom spread. I have enough speed in this thing to outpace a Jolly Scarf Terrakion in the sand. The rest goes in Special Defense, and the reason for that is because it allows me to take Dark Rise, Dark Pulses, as well as Focus Blast. I can live one Focus Blast with a Life Orb at full HP, so that is why. Even after rocks I can, so that's why. But anyways, he's going to be shaky whether an Earthquake is a 2-hit KO, and I don't know if you guys saw, but my leftovers went before his, which means I'm going to actually risk this, and I'm going to go for the EQ, trying to knock out the Kyogre, but he does me a favor by bringing in the Fortress, which basically I can 2-hit KO because he's not physically defensive, which means his Spinner is gone, his Spiker and potential Stealth Rocker is gone, which means as soon as I get off of Rapid Spin, those hazards are gone, and I should have less pressure on my team. Spikes aren't so much as a problem as rocks because Ho-Oh doesn't really like rocks. Oh, I can't even talk right now. Spikes and rocks are both a problem. Ho-Oh just doesn't like rocks as much as spikes. But anyways, I'm thinking he's going to go for the close combat, so I'm going to bring in my Ho-Oh, but he aggressively predicts that, and he goes right for the Stone Edge. He does miss. I don't know how much that mattered just because I don't think I really use Ho-Oh after this point, but knowing he's more than likely going to want to go for the Stone Edge again, I'm going to go out into my Hippowdon because I know I can take that. And again, I'm thinking he's more than likely going to want to bring the Kyogre, predicting me to go for my Slack Off. But I want that Kyogre gone as fast as possible because that Kingdra is scaring me. Terrakion can definitely be a problem. So I am just going to go right for the Earthquake here because I was thinking in combination with the rocks, my Earthquake might have a chance to take him out. But as you're going to see right now, I just barely miss out on the KO. And that was kind of frustrating. But at the same time, I know he's forced in a position where he has to go for rest. If not, he loses the Weather War. So I have nothing to lose right now except for staying in and going for Earthquake. If he does want to scald me, I lose Hippowdon, yeah, but I think in the end I can just bring in Palkia and win the Weather War that way. So he is just going to end up going for the rest. He probably predicted my switch out, but I am just going to go for an Earthquake because I want to keep as much pressure as I can on this Kyogre to keep it asleep. If I can keep this Kyogre asleep, I can dance my way around it, you know, with him relying on Sleep Talk or whatever. He either has to hold Scald, Rest, Calm Mind, or Roar. We have not seen his last move yet. So I actually don't want to take my chances with Sleep Talk right now, so I'm going to switch out. I'm going to go out into my Chansey because I know he pretty much cannot touch my Chansey whatsoever. As he ends up bringing in the Arceus Grass. I'm getting kind of low here on HP, so I think I'm just going to go for the Wish. As he actually does end up going for the Stealth Rocks, which I'm not going to knock. That's not a bad thing because I personally don't like having Spikes and Stealth Rocks on the same poke, so I can understand why he'd have it on his Arceus Grass. So he's going to go out into his Terrakion here. As I go for the Toxic here, I was thinking maybe I could shut down the Arceus Grass, and if he did want to switch in Terrakion won't really like being poisoned just because 6% from poison and then the 6% from Stealth Rocks, that's about 12% every turn. And as you're going to see later, this Toxic was definitely the better play for me to go for rather than an S-Toss, so I figure he's more than likely just going to want to go for the CC. If he wants to predict my Ho-Oh switch, great, I can take whatever rock move he wants to go for, so I'm going to go out into my Hippowdon. As once again, he is predicting my Ho-Oh to come in, and he's going to go for the Rock Slide. I guess he didn't feel like missing Stone Edge, but I guess it was a better play on his behalf because I can't switch in Hippo, as you guys can see from the range of HP that I was at, into 2 close combats, so I definitely think he made the smarter play of going for the Rock Slide as I made the dumber play of bringing in my Hippo. So I'm getting low, like I just said. I really need this Hippo for that Terrakion. Is kind of like my main check and counter at this point, so I'm just going to go right for the Slack Off and get all the way back up to Fall as he does end up bringing in the Lugia. Thankfully it's Burn, and with Stealth Rocks up, it's going to make this thing a lot easier to manage. And not only that, but with combination of Sand canceling out his leftovers, meaning Burn will actually be able to do the full potential of damage that it can do, which is what, like 12.5% or something like that. So I'm gonna go right out in my Excadrill now. This is the perfect opportunity for me to get off a Rapid Spin because Lugia cannot touch Excadrill whatsoever. He does not have the spin blocker. He goes for Roost, which is even better because he could have gone for Ice Beam and got some damage off on me. It wouldn't do a whole lot, but it'd be enough to the point where I'd be like, eh, unnecessary damage is unnecessary. So, like I said before, because he's got his Lugia in here, he really cannot do anything to my Excadrill. So I'm just free to click Rapid Spin at this point and get these spikes out of here. He still does have his Stealth Rocker around, but that's not going to be such a huge problem because, like I said before, barring Ho-Oh, this team really does not mind rocks, to be totally honest. So just click Rapid Spin as he does end up bringing in the Arceus Grass. Again, I really don't know what he wants to do. I don't really know what kind of Arceus this is because he switched it in on my Hippowdon. He's also switched it in on my Chansey. If not, he'll do that later because this is a long match and I cannot remember every turn, I'll be honest. So I'm going to go out in my Chansey just in case he is a special variant. Sometimes they can be physical, though I don't know why you would run a physical variant, just saying. But he's going to make the good play here. He's going to go out into his Terrakion. And as you can already see, Stealth Rocks and Toxic are racking up on this Terrakion. I have not touched that Terrakion once, mind you, and I've already stalled it down to about 60-ish% or so. So, he's again going to predict me to go out into my Hippowdon, which is exactly what I'm going to do. But you see, I'm in a position where my walls are really high on health. I still have my offensive threats in the back of my pocket, meaning I am allowed to kind of have one screw-up right now without having major consequences come. So I believe at this point, because I kept stalling between Hippo and Chansey and Ho-Oh and, you know, just going between my defensive core, I am going to go out into my Arceus Dark because I wanted to start taking a more offensive approach to things because I was like, this battle's getting really long and I just need to start getting off some damage because I can't just sit here and continuously stall. So he's going to go for the Sleep Talk here. He ends up pulling the Scald. This is going to do quite a good chunk of damage considering I am a bulky Arceus Dark, and you got to remember, that's an unboosted Scald. You know, without the rain boost, I should say, from a defensive Kyogre. That's some nice damage right there, not gonna lie. So, I figured he might want to go out into his Terrakion at this point, which is why I'm actually gonna go into my Chansey. The reason I did this is because if he wants to go into Terrakion, then I can pivot right into Hippowdon. If he wants to stay in and, like, go for, like, a Scald or try to risk his luck with a Scald, Chansey can take that. So I have nothing to worry about, but he does end up pulling the Calm Mind here, which shows me he's not a Roaring Kyogre, which means this is going to make my job a little easier, but at the same time, it gets a little harder just because I can't Calm Mind up beside it with Arceus Dark because, you know, the defense boost and whatnot, but I guess basically I don't have to worry about my setup just getting, you know, roared out by that thing. So I am just going to go for the S-Toss here if he wanted to bring in the Terrakion by some chance. It's not going to appreciate Stealth Rock's one turn of Poison plus an S-Toss. It's really not. So he actually does me a favor and he brings in the Arceus Grass. I know he's in a position where he's going to want to go for the Recover, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay in here. I'm going to go right for the Toxic, basically shutting this thing down, so if worse comes to worse in the end, I can stall this thing to death with my Chansey if need be, because like I said before, I have both Soft Boiled and Wish on this thing. This Chansey's just here to troll, really. So, he is going to switch out this turn. I do believe he goes out into his Kyogre. I'm not entirely sure why he did this. I don't know if he just wanted to get rid of the sand or not. I really don't know why he just switched in. But I'm going to go for the Wish here. If he did want to go into his Terrakion, then when I went out into my Hippowdon, I wouldn't have to worry because the Wish would just recover me back up to full. So I had nothing to worry about. But he's going to go back out into his Arceus Grass. And again, this is kind of a weird... I don't really understand what he's doing. But I figured this would be a good turn for me to get some offensive momentum going, so I'm going to go out into my Palkia, 1, to get the Wish recovery, which is really nice, and 2, if he wanted to stay in with that Kyogre for whatever reason, I can just go from there. So now, the reason I switched out here is because his poison damage went before my burn damage, which should have like symbolized in his head that he was faster than me. He stays in his Stealth Rocks, so that's why I went out on my Chansey. I was thinking maybe he would want to go out into, what was it? His Lugia, that's it, because, you know, I kind of want to keep that Lugia at bay as well, so he's going to go for a Recover because once again he's in a position where he kind of needs to go for Recover. And my Chansey's getting kind of low just due to switching some Sand's damage, so I'm just going to go for the Soft Boil, get myself back up to full. And again, Hippo's chilling at around full, Chansey's at full, Ho-Oh's ready to go. My defensive core is still hardly intact and almost unscratched at this point, so he's going to go out into his Lugia. I believe I just went for the S-Toss because I was like, I can just sit in here and stall you all day, son. Stalled. So that's why, as I believe he is going to end up going for the Roost this turn. I believe I ended up switching out into my Excadrill. No, my Arceus Dark, that's right, because I was thinking this could be my prime opportunity to set this thing up, because if I can get up at least 1 Calm Mind and just click Judgment, then I believe Terrakion will be KO'd at the range of HP is at, so I figured this Lugia would be my prime opportunity to get those Calm Minds going. But at the same time, I'm also kind of stuck in a situation here. I'm going to go for Recover this turn because I'm getting kind of low, and I just I want my health back up. But he is going to end up going for a Toxic here. He does end up missing, but it doesn't matter before because I have Refresh. And like I said before, now the problem here is that I can click Judgment and get some major damage off on this Lugia. But the risk that I take in clicking Judgment is his Terrakion coming in, getting a free +1, and pretty much just plowing through my team with close combat. So not wanting that to happen, I'm going to make the middle ground play and go for a Calm Mind. Like I said before, if I could get one of these up, and then him bringing this Terrakion, which would be now this turn, then I should have been able to KO it with Poison and Stealth Rocks and whatnot. So I am going to bring in my Hippowdon here. I know he's more than likely just gonna go for the close combat because, you know, that's super effective and all that good stuff. And my Hippo can sit in here and just take that day and night. So just, I mean, look at it. Like, look at the poison damage. Look at the Stealth Rocks damage on that Terrakion. That's what amazed me this whole battle. It really did. How this Terrakion has literally not been touched once, and I'm just able to stall it this way. So I'm finally thinking, okay, he's at -1. I could probably go for the EQ, definitely take that thing out from the range of HP he's at. So I am going to go for the Earthquake, but he is going to bring in his Arceus Grass. And I am a defensive Hippowdon. I'm not invested. He resists. He's probably bulky. You know, it's not going to do anything to him. But I know he's in a range of HP again where he's either going to want to go for the Recover. So I'm going to switch out here. I'm going to go out into my Chansey because, again, I can just stall that thing to death should it come down to it. But he's going to make a good play here, and he's going to go out into my his Terrakion, not my Terrakion, but his Terrakion, predicting this, and he can just start him with the close combat, so I really don't have much to worry about. I can bring in Hippo again because I should be able to take 2 close combats from the range of HP I'm at, and then go for Slack Off, and then, you know, go from there. Not only that, but he has been predicting my Ho, so I figured if I brought it in now, that'd be a little too predictable. But however, as he goes for the close combat here, he gets a crit. Now that definitely mattered because my Hippo would have been able to take one. I would have been able to slack off the damage later. And this also forces me to kind of lose the Weather War unofficially. So all he has to do now is basically just bring in his Kyogre, and that's going to be it. So I am going to go into my Excadrill now. Basically for last ditch effort damage. I can go for an EQ. I outpace that thing due to my speed investment on this thing. So I'm all set to go there. And I believe he ends up bringing in his Kyogre now to, you know, win the Weather War. And that Kingdra has all of a sudden become a massive threat if it wasn't already. So he's going to go out into his Kyogre. Yeah, the rain goes up. So unfortunately my Excadrill won't be outspeeding anything right now. But I am just going to go for the EQ here. He's going to make a really good play here by foddering off his Arceus Grass. He knows it's at a very low amount of HP. And there's not much he can do to salvage it at this point. So he's just going to fodder it off to my Earthquake. As now he gets a free switch into his Kingdra. And like I said before, if this thing is the mix set, I'm just going to be walked on by this thing. So I can't switch anything into this. Nothing wants to take a Dragon move or a Water move, really. Well, there's Palkia, but I can't switch in on like a Draco or something and, you know, burn my Bomberry like that because he'll still outpace me. So at first he shows me Waterfall, something, alright, so he's a physical Kingdra. That's cool. I can deal with that. I know I can take an Outrage from the range of HP that I'm at. I should be set to go. But he's actually going to go for the Dragon Pulse here. And like I said before at the beginning of this battle, if he was a mixed Kingdra set, if he played this Kingdra more aggressively, he could have just walked through my team. He really could have. That thing was a huge problem, but he didn't play it to its fullest potential. So unfortunately, I will be able to go for a Spatial Run here. I'll be able to take him out. Thanks to the Bomberry, I will be able to live his Dragon Pulse. And this basically seals the fate because my Palkia has Bomberry. He now knows I can switch up moves. And I believe he's going to run at this point. He knows he has lost the game pretty much because all I really had left was, what I have left actually. I had Palkia, Ho-Oh, Arceus Dark, and Chansey. I could have easily set up with Arceus Dark should it come down to it. And if worst comes to worst, Chansey could have stalled something to death, I'm sure. But, you know, Lugia has Roost. I could have stalled him out of Roost, but that would have been really annoying. But anyways, good game, Dark Blitz. I am so sorry this is such a long match, guys, but I really hope you guys enjoyed. God, this was so long to narrate too. Anyways, I will see you guys around. So until then, guys, bye.